Hi, everybody. This is Bob Wolff, along with Walt Dropo of the Chicago White Sox, one of the top hitters in the American League, and a mighty good guy around that base also with the glove. As a matter of fact, Walt, I want to ask you about these first baseman's gloves. You got one there that looks like a derrick scooping up the dirt.
Well, this is the Wilson glove, and it's not the Trapper, it's the other glove, and it's probably a little bit better, Bob, than the Trapper. At least I like it a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Gee, there certainly is a lot of room in there to snare any balls over in that direction.
Well, it's better than a Trapper because you can feel ground balls better, at least I think so, and it's got a better pocket in here, and I also hold it out like this, Bob, and it's got a lot more advantages than the other glove.
I'd like the youngsters to get a close-up if they can right here. You can see how much of Walt's hand is out of the glove. Walt, I think the young guys who are studying to be first basemen like yourself be interested as to just why.
Well, because you got better mobility with the glove. In other words, if you put the glove completely in your hand, that means that you're catching the ball almost with your hand, like this, with your hand. This way, you can manipulate the glove, and as I'm doing right now, and you get better action with the glove, and you can scoop balls up better. I think that the low throws and the balls in the dirt, you have a better chance at them, rather than if you just stick your glove out like this here with a full glove, it's apt to hit in there and bounce back out with a stiff, rigid hand. Whereas when we're fielding a pickup or a ball that's hit in the dirt, Bob, you kind of come up with a ball so that it gives it a little chance of cushioning the ball, see, rather than jabbing at the ball. That's the difference, and that's why this glove is so good. And you don't have a stiff, rigid glove in your hand when you hold it this way.
Yeah. Incidentally, I know there's something else you're pretty good at doing. This is with the right hand there, and that is signing people up on the dotted line. They tell me you're quite a business executive in the off-season.
Well, we have a real estate office in Boston, Bob, and it's a pretty good thing, and we're looking forward to this thing after baseball is over with, and we've set it up in Boston, and we have Eddie Pellegrini, who is a former ball player, and Sam Mealy, and Johnny Pesky, and Dom DiMaggio. We all played with Boston at the same time, and so we decided to form this company, and it's going to be something for the future, and after baseball is over, we hope that we can go back to that.
Yeah, it sounds like quite a deal.
Well, it is pretty good. We're hoping it's going to be better.
Walt, I know that you have very fond memories at Griffith Stadium. It was here back a few years ago that you tied the record for consecutive hits at bat. Do you recall the 7-for-7 you got here added to the 5-for-5 you brought in?
Well, the most vivid one is the one when I popped up on the 13th time. It was Lou Sleater was pitching that day, and he threw me a fastball right down the middle, probably the best pitch I had to hit all 12 times up, and I popped it up, and Mickey Grasso was catching it and caught the ball up by the stands over there. That's the one I remember more vividly than any of them.
Yeah, I think Mickey was as upset as anybody. He said, geez, I hated to catch that foul. I couldn't drop it, but I hated to catch it and pull it in.
Yeah, well,
that's the way it goes, though. And the thing that made it a little more ironic was the next time you got up, after going your 12-for-12 and then fouling out, then you really laced one out there to left center next time up, huh?
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, I got a base hit on the 14th time up, which would have given me, if I'd have hit the ball, I would have had 14 for 14, which would have broken the record, too.
Well, incidentally, you're the co-holder with Pinky Higgins as the Boston manager.
Yes, I am. Yeah, Pinky had that record, I think it was in 38 or somewhere, where he got 12 straight hits, but you've got to be very lucky in order to get in a streak like that, Bob. Everything has to be working for you, and of course, most of my hits were singles, and I think that when you're hitting in a streak for hits, I think that you can't go for that long ball, and as I was hitting, I was just trying to meet the ball and trying to get base hits.
You know, when it comes to unusual stories in baseball, I think one of my favorites, Walt, is the story about a fellow who started out one year in the minor leagues and a few months later was playing in the All-Star game. You ever heard that story?
Well, that happens to be myself, Bob. I heard the story, and it's an unusual one, and it's a very pleasant one for myself because that's what happened to me in 1950. I started out with Louisville Colonels in the American Association, and then I came back, recall, in April 30th, I guess it was, and then I finally made the All-Star game that year.
Led the league in runs batted in that season.
Yes, I did. That was one of my best years I've had in the big leagues, and it was a very pleasant one.
Well, Walt, I certainly hope you have many more pleasant years to come, and I'm sure you will, and I appreciate you being our guest.
Bob, thanks a million.
Folks, our guest, Walt Dropo, and now this is Bob Wolff returning to Bill Gold.